গত ২৬শে আগস্ট কলকাতার প্রেসিডেন্সি ইউনিভার্সিটির ইতিহাস বিভাগের অডিটোরিয়ামে অনুষ্ঠিত হয়েছিল অ্যানুয়াল লেকচার সিরিজ, যেখানে ভারত, বাংলাদেশ এবং পাকিস্তান ভাগ হয়ে যাওয়ার এক পুরনো ইতিহাসকে তুলে ধরা হয়েছিল।
Professor Bandyopadhyay. On behalf of the Department of History, Presidency University, I now invite Professor Shikhar Bandyopadhyay to deliver the much-awaited lecture.
Friends, colleagues, of course, Rituparna, students, ladies and gentlemen. I feel a bit overwhelmed right at this moment by seeing this gathering. I've never had such an overfull auditorium to address. It is also very overwhelming to come back to presidency after a few decades. As it has already been mentioned, I graduated from the history department of what was then Presidency College about 50 years ago. And I last came into this building several decades ago, possibly mid 30 to 40 years. And today, coming into this building, I was trying to locate where was the room number 17, where the history seminar was located, where is the library, and I was a bit shocked to see that the portico where most of my time was spent was gone. So it's a bit overwhelming to come to this building after so many years. So I'm grateful, and I would like to begin by thanking the Kolkata Partition Museum for inviting me to give this lecture. I feel honored, and I am also thankful to the faculty and students of the History Department of Presidency University for hosting this lecture and giving me this opportunity to come back. Who responded to it in very different ways. So we cannot really conceptualize the event in a straightforward straitjacket. It had many complexities, many nuances within this story. Many of the new historians have argued this, that just blaming the colonial policy would not explain what was happening. More things were happening which we need not ignore. I would say that many of the modern historians argue that we should not take it as a natural outcome of a clash of civilization between the Hindus and the Islam. But at the same time, historians like Gilmartin and more recently Venkat Dhulipal have argued that there was a growing Islamization of the Muslim masses in North India, which we should not ignore. For Bengal also, a long time before Tajul Hashmi had pointed out that following the Khilafat movement, in fact, Khilafat movement had resulted in further Islamization of the Muslim masses, but following that, there was a very well-orchestrated movement in the eastern Bengal countryside to Islamize the politics of the East Bengali Muslim peasants.
Sir, I have a question, sir. Yes, sir. So, Ambedkar, as we know, had initially given his go-ahead to Rabindranath Mondol for his plan of coalition with the Muslim League because he had visualized that the Dalits had a better chance of survival in the state of Pakistan. But later he withdrew from his position, as we know. So what is the exact historical juncture when Ambedkar changes his position?
Yes, Dr. Ambedkar shifted his position. He wrote a book initially justifying the Pakistan demand And for a long time, Muslim League used that book for publicizing the justification of the partition demand. But eventually, I would possibly suspect after the Simla Conference of 1945, Ambedkar began to realize or came to a point where he thought that the Muslim League was trying to monopolize the minority position. And Muslim League projected itself as the major minority would jeopardize the chances and entitlements of other minorities like the scheduled castes. So he could see a possible conflict of interest between a dominant minority and an underdog minority. And that is why he began to change his position, his number of statements on that. And after the partition, he came up with specific statements that the scheduled castes who were in Pakistan must come out. And because you have no future, because the Muslim League was going to dominate that state. And this is where I thought he was deviating from Jogin Mandal as well. Jogin Mandal, on the other hand, made a public statement that after partition,
about the project and the annual lecture series. Now I would like to call upon stage Orghun Bala, research scholar, Department of History, Presidency University, to introduce our speaker for the day, Professor Shekhar Bandyopadhyay.
Good afternoon, Professor Shekhar Bandyopadhyay, our honorable guest, Professor Ritipona Rai, respected professors, fellow peers, and everyone present here. The Kolkata Partition Museum Trust, in collaboration with the Department of History, Presidency University, Kolkata, welcome everyone to the inaugural lecture of the institution of an annual lecture series. Our speaker today needs no introduction. We all have grown up studying books he wrote, mostly in our days as undergraduate and postgraduate students. His book, as ma'am also mentioned, From Policy to Partition and After, is a classic and will remain so for a long, long time. I'm sure students present here will be able to relate to this very much. This book is so popular that it has been translated into different languages, including Bangla and Hindi.
There is also another associated, and for us an equally important reason. It is that of our association with him. So when I first thought about this project way back in 2016, and I was still living in the Netherlands then, the very first person I approached, the first person I wrote to was Shekhar. After sharing the idea with my parents, that is, and I still remember it was Poila Boishakh the day I got his response. It was enthusiastic, encouraging, but also with a cautionary note about the ambitiousness of the project.
Students, the finance officer and the development officer for helping us in organizing the seminar. I would also like to extend warm greetings and thank the respective faculty members of the department as well as the scholars and students who have joined us today. Thank you all.
ক্যামেরায় রানী চক্রবর্তীর সাথে সুরজিৎ চৌধুরীর রিপোর্ট। আপনারা দেখছেন সমাজ বার্তা, মানুষের সাথে মানুষের পাশে।